Welcome back to the Breakfast Show 2. Joining me this morning is Sergeant Clark Parrott from the Missouri State Highway Patrol. And the Missouri State Highway Patrol, you all just launched a new human trafficking campaign. What is that campaign all about?
Well, this week we started it Monday and it runs through tomorrow, and it's Human Trafficking Awareness Initiative. And what we're doing, we're educating commercial motor vehicle drivers, truck stop operators, things like that, things to be looking out for. If you see somebody come in to a truck stop and it's a younger person with possibly an older male or female, and they say it's my boyfriend, girlfriend, if something doesn't look right, we need to be saying something. And things to look for. Human trafficking is a $150 billion a year industry, and it's not just in the big cities or in towns way away from here. It's happening in Cape Girardeau. It's happening in southeast Missouri with labor in the hospitality industry, things like that. So this is why we are encouraging people, if they see something, to say something. There are some indicators. If you're talking to somebody and their response is rehearsed, and they can't get off script, or if they do, they get really nervous talking to you. And again, those are just some indicators. Some people are really nervous just talking.
Right.
So those are things that we encourage people to see, and again, to try to draw light to it. Over in South Central, Southwest Missouri earlier last year, there was an entire human trafficking ring that was broken up, and upwards of 100 people were rescued from that. And that's what we're trying to do. Is a lot of these folks that are involved in human trafficking are victims. They're runaways, and now they're basically an indentured servant.
And so then, like you had said, this doesn't just happen in the bigger cities. It's happening here in the smaller cities, the smaller towns. I think that that's something so important that people need to know, that it's happening in your own home, not in your own home, but your own town, and that we need to be aware of it. And I know that you said that there are a couple telltale signs if you do run into a person who is in part of human trafficking, is the nervous talking. Is there anything else that we may be able to look out for? Are those people trying to entice you into what they're doing? Well,
they could be trying to entice you or a younger person into it. And some of the other telltale signs are, if they won't make eye contact. A lot of times these victims, if they're in a shopping mall, grocery store, wherever, if they won't make eye contact with you, and again, if they're with somebody who appears to be much older than them, or if there's two what appear to be older people and a younger person, a lot of times they're there to keep tabs on them. And from a law enforcement standpoint, the majority of the Missouri State Highway Patrol troopers have been trained in the interdiction for protection of children and things to look for, and other agencies in the state as well. So it's a concerted effort. It's not just us, but it's a concerted effort by law enforcement to return those runaways or to make sure that people are not being exploited.
Right. And so say, for instance, I'm out and about and I happen to notice something that just doesn't seem right, and they maybe have a child with them that looks scared. Is obviously call law enforcement, but me, I'm not an officer, but so that they don't get away from me, is there a way to should we keep them near us, or should we just call you guys and say, hey, this is what they look like, this is a description? How can we best help you?
That would be the best thing. Is because then what we don't want to get into is a physical confrontation with somebody. So we just, again, if you see something, say something. Take copious notes, on your phone, or take some pictures in a discreet way so that you're not aggravating the situation. Get a good vehicle description. Get descriptions of the people and things they are doing. These are some of the most vulnerable people in our society that have been taken away from their families, and we want to do everything we can to try to reunite them and stop this.
Most definitely. Such a good campaign to be talking about. And so switching gears a little bit, we just wrapped up 2022. Talk about the traffic numbers. How did we fare this past year?
Well, compared to 2021, not very good. We had, I think, 1,015 people die in 2021. Last year it was a little more than that, about 1,023, 24, and those numbers could bump up a little bit if we get some late fatalities from crashes late in the year. But the thing that we see from looking at the data on these crashes, it's still lane violations, driving too fast for conditions, and distracted driving and impaired driving. And we don't understand it. We don't understand why we have had such a sudden uptick on this, but the Highway Patrol and our law enforcement partners, we are going to continue to do everything we can to keep those numbers down. You know, we've got a 3-day weekend coming up. A lot of people are going to be off Monday because of Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, and people are going to be traveling this weekend. And again, we say it every time, if you're going to drive, please do not drink and drive. Don't smoke or consume anything that can impair your ability to operate that vehicle in a safe manner. And if you do, make sure you've got a designated safe driver.
It's just so important to be out there on the roads and do it safely, and you know, not hurt anyone else or hurt yourself while you're out on those roads. It's just so imperative. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning on The Breakfast Show too. We'll be right back.